Good morning. After a break, we are back reviewing hands. So, first hand, King Queen, offsuit. We are under the gun. This player is not dealt in. Um, if you look at under the gun position, King Queen off is not in it, and actually any early position, King Queen off is not in it unless it's EP3 versus a tight player. Even EP3, you can start to toss it in. That's at a full ring table, we're talking about playing right there. But even if like these two weren't dealt in and we start here, it's technically early position. I don't think I'd play King Queen off um, under the gun. I think you just have so many players behind you. It's unlikely that the pre-flop raise is going to get everyone to fold. So you're really just raising for value at that point, or for some positive equity, and I don't think you're getting that with the King Queen off. So I just fold. We had a limper, and then we get a raise, and then that limper calls. All right, so we only have 7 hands on both players. This guy's playing 43-14. This is 29-14. Doesn't really tell us a whole lot, so we're just going to default back to just general player pool. So here we have a player. I think easy 29%. He's doing limping, so maybe suited aces, suited kings, suited connectors, one gappers, some of the three gappers, Broadway, offsuit Broadways. He does have a pre-flop raise. I mean, he has that, but I just think that those are probably going to be calls. I don't think he's going to raise them. So these are all going to be raising. I think are standard. I think if I had a loose player that usually limped and they raised this, that's the hands that I excluded are usually the ones that I'm thinking about. It's possible that he has an even tighter raising range. So really just like the top, like the very top. But I'm going to go with this range. And then he calls. So the question is, does he narrow up versus a call? Well, we do have limp and cold. We've got ace 10, 10, 8 suited, and threes. Those are all hands that are in there. All hands that are in there. Maybe he drops out some of these, but I think this is probably a player decent range. Now, we do have a razor, and I think the button razor is going to be a little bit stronger. Not a little bit, quite a bit stronger in the range of hands that he's playing. I put this range together. No notes on them, and we're just gonna go. We're gonna go with it. I think player would have limped behind with a lot of weaker, but I think his raise is going to be on the stronger side of things. All right, so Queen 5-2 with 2 hearts. Yes, we would have flopped a top pair second kicker, but you can't think about that. You can't say, oh, I should have played because I would have flopped top pair. Most of the time, you're going to miss. So villain 5 checks. I kind of assume he would check all the time, but this guy checks. Now he's in position. I think he's going to be betting top pair all the time. Probably his flush draw. I think just in general, and you can see there's not a whole lot after. He could be betting ace king, so I'm going to give him overcards as well. So if he had ace king, I think that's kind of just a standard c bet with ace king. I see a lot of people bet with ace king, and then when they get called, they freeze, and it's check or they'll fold. So that's the hands that I expect him to bet with. I don't think I mean, it depends on the player, but oftentimes this pocket pair less than the top card sees the queen and they check. So that's what I'm gonna assume he'll do. All right. So his hand just became extremely weak, and now once he checked, I think if I was this player, I'm betting the turn. 7 of clubs, betting the turn. I think the only time I really wouldn't is if it came like an ace. I think ace or king, I think I would check. Ace, king, and jack, I would probably check. Anything lower, and it's just based on the ranges. So like the nothing hands, I kind of assume he would bet ace, king, but he's got the ace jacks, he's got the ace tens, he's got the king jack, the king tens. Those are just really the hands that I think he's more likely to hit. Anything less than the 10, maybe these, but not really. So if I was that guy, I'd be betting. He doesn't. I think at this point he missed his bet, so I'm gonna start excluding like the set. I think he could have a top pair weak kicker. Maybe like queen 9, queen 8. I think he could have. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna exclude these. Alright, so villain, they're both becoming weaker. Now villain 1 bets. He bets 2. So 25% pot. It's a possibility that he has a set. I think the set would have bet larger though. So I kind of think this is more like pocket pair less than the top card, hoping to connect. And maybe he's bluffing. Maybe he's taking a shot. I guess he could have a turn draw. Turn flush. We'll do that. I will keep the turn flush. Flush draw. We'll say he doesn't really bluff just a bluff. Now we could be wrong, but that's what we'll do. And then villain 5 calls. So I think he's definitely calling with any of those top pairs. Probably calls with the 8s. Probably calls with the 7s. Don't think he's going to be calling with anything else. But I think he's calling with a flush draw as well. So we're down to 13% for him. Ace of spades comes out. Both players check. So once they check, this guy misses. I think 2 pair bets. 100%. 2 pair bets. But I still think he's got hands like that. Weak 1 pair hands. This guy just basically pair hands. And I'm starting to think that he should have had those hands. He should have had a bunch of those hands in there. Oh yeah, top pair. Yeah, I don't think it's top pair anymore. I think he would have bet a little bit small to try to get that ace. But I could totally see him just check behind on the rest of that. So I think we're there. He shows 6-7. I didn't have that in there. I guess that could be reasonable. He'd check. Picks up a pair. I mean, it's consistent with the jacks, 10s, 9s, and 8s that he would have bet. So he picks up a medium pair. He bets small at it. You know, he bets at the pot, but he bets small because it doesn't really have a good hand. He's afraid of the queen. This guy has 3s, which is, I did the weaker pair. I mean, he went even weaker, so his turn calling range, I kind of cut it off at the 7s. I didn't think he'd call with the 5s or the 2s or the pocket pair, but that's kind of what he had. So let's get these notes down. So he LFI and call button 3.5, ISO raise, in low jack with 3 hearts, 3 spades, out of position, check, check, call 25%, then check on a queen of hearts, 5 of hearts, 2 clubs, 7 of clubs, ace of spades. All right. This guy had his notes. So he ISO raised 3.5 big blind. I guess we'll say ISO raised low jack 3.5 big blinds on button with 7-6 of diamonds. In position, checked at 3.5, checked on all right. So what do I think of these players? I don't like this guy, how he played it. I mean, it's you figure it's going to be a weak hand. I already knew it was going to be a weak hand. Just a limp call. I mean, that's problematic. Limp call, and then he had a really good shot to bet the turn. There's a possibility that he folds, and even if he doesn't fold, he calls, and then you follow that with a bet on the river, and I think he's going to fold. So he missed opportunity. He shouldn't have been in the hand, and he had a missed opportunity. 6-7. I guess you don't. I mean, we kind of have to go back to the flop to see what's his breakdown. What are the percentages? Is 6-7 of diamonds possibly in a C betting range? I'm going to say probably not. So I'm not like too disappointed in his check. However, I think the board kind of misses this guy a lot because we gave him a raise first in range that's going to include quite a few of the queens. And since he didn't raise first in, I think he's going to have a lot of the hands that miss. So the jacks, the 10s, the 9s, the 8s. And the 7s and so forth. So he checks. You can bet just as a pure bluff. And we will have to, if we had more hands, we would see his fold C bet stat and everything. But I'm not. I'm not going to criticize his no C bet. Again, you have to balance your strong hands with your weak hands. If you bet, almost 100%, you're going to have a lot of weak hands in your range. So the check wasn't too bad. If this guy bet into him on the turn with just a 7, probably would just call once to protect against that bluff. The lead, and then if he bets again on the river, probably have to fold that 7. I think that's probably what I would do. If he checks the turn to me again, I would bet. I don't think I would bet as small as he did. I think at that point we're betting a half pot bet. We checked. I mean, it's a fairly dry board, so if we had an ace queen, we could reasonably check that. And we may have to check it because we don't have a huge number of draws in our hand, so we're going to be checking some decent top pair hands. And that's why, if we're gonna check the flop and then bet the top pair, we could easily go half pot, 2/3 pot, maybe 3/4 pot, and get quite a bit of value. Because geez, you're going for the mid pairs, the weak hands that like, oh well, you check the flop, so you must not have anything. Well, surprise, surprise, we do have a top pair hand. But definitely but then again, he bets the turn, and when the ace comes, I think he could have probably fired it up again. However, you're basically turning your hand into a bluff at that point. He does have a little bit of showdown value with his third pair, so I'm not gonna worry too much about how he played around the river. So ranges were a little off, but we've got the hands. I think seeing 7-6 in there on his range, we would expand it. Probably give him more like that. Maybe even, you know, yeah, probably like that, easy, and it'll match. So hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, look tomorrow for another one.